Timing is everything. We know that when our timing's off, so is our golf swing. And we all remember those rounds where everything's automatic and our timing is awesome. This is exactly why speed training with your own driver shaft is so important. This video is about to show you some incredible slow motion footage of what happens to your golf swing and your timing when you speed train with a training aid that is not your driver shaft, rather a shaft that came with the training aid that you purchased. Every driver shaft is built to flex differently. This is why we all get fitted for our own shaft. Every shaft is different in how much it flexes, where and when in your swing it flexes. This is why the phrase timing your driver shaft is so important. The loading pattern at the top of your swing in transition and the release pattern into impact is so important for both speed and accuracy. If you improperly time your driver shaft, one, you won't have efficient speed at the ball at impact, but two, your accuracy will suffer and we can kiss those fairways goodbye. We'll be spending most of our time in the rough and behind those dreaded trees. At first glance in slow motion, these three swings look very similar, if not identical. But let's break this down a little further, and we're going to pause for a few frames right before and right at impact. First things first, what I did here was I took 5 swings with both the competing product and the speed toad. Of those 5 swings with each tool, I took the fastest swing with each, and that's the video that we're seeing here. All of these swings were with the same effort level, which is 100% max effort, because that's what we're doing with speed training. We're trying to push our speed limits and swing faster than we ever have before. The reason I took the fastest swing from each tool is because we know that the fastest swing with that tool tells us that was the proper sequencing and the best timed swing we had of the 5. First, let's pause a little bit before impact. You can see the timing with the competing product is much different due to the fact that this competing shaft is much stiffer than my driver shaft. I have to hold the lag with the competing product much longer with my forearms to make sure that the speed is timed right at the ball, which is where the radar is reading the swing speed of that swing. Then if you look at the speed toad, you can see the release into impact before impact is almost identical to my driver's swing because it's the same shaft. Then as we get into impact, you can see more of the same. If I mirrored the timing of the competing product with my driver shaft hitting a golf ball, I would hit slice after slice after slice with my hand so far ahead of the golf ball. This shows you very visually that speed training with a training aid that isn't your driver shaft ingrains and promotes bad habits that can translate to the golf course and make our golf game much more difficult than it has to be. And to show you that this isn't something I did just for this video, I found a video of a random golfer, and I'll blur his face for privacy, on Instagram swinging both a competing speed training aid as well as his driver. You can see he's doing the same thing that I did, holding the lag much longer with his forearms because the training aid that he's using is much different than the flex of his actual driver shaft. In fact, speed training with your own driver shaft is so important. Long drive world champion Martin Borgmeier broke his $350 competing speed training aid and attached it to his own driver shaft. With a lot of glue and epoxy he's using, I hope this holds up and doesn't break his driver shaft or fly off mid-swing. But with the speed toad, we have a screw that fits every driver brand adapter perfectly, so the speed toad is secure onto your shaft when you're training. Here this company pays him money to sponsor their product. And after we launched the speed toad, he realized how important it is to speed train with your own shaft and decided to try to make his own speed toad so he could do the same. Although I have to say it would have been much cheaper just to pay $125 for a speed toad instead of breaking his $350 training aid, but I'll let him figure that out. And we could also talk about how the weight of the speed toad is optimal to maximize your speed gains in speed training. But I'll leave that for another video, which we actually have published, so I'll put that link in the description below. Real quick, while we're talking about Martin and the speed training aid that he uses, let's take a look at what it does to his timing and his swing. You can see his speed training aid swing on the left and his real driver swing on the right, and you can see the hand positions in both swings are basically identical, but you can see the shaft angle at that hand position is much different. Being a different tool, a different training aid that he's using, it promotes different timing than the one that I was using in my example. And you can see this is opposite of what I did holding the lag longer. He's actually flipping the club, the training aid through the zone, which is the dreaded hand flip at impact that everybody tries to avoid. And with Sam and I having competed against Martin for years in World Long Drive, we know that his miss is in fact left. And this flipping action at the ball promotes a left miss. So we can see some training aid patterns cross over into his actual golf swing, promoting a certain miss one way or the other. There are a few possible reasons why his training aid swing is more of a flip action, where mine was the opposite. But one possible reason is the training aid that he's using is actually 4 inches shorter than the average driver. So the shorter the club, the different timing you can see promotes more flipping action at the ball versus a proper timing that you require with your actual driver. As you can see, speed training with your own driver shaft is vital to make sure that we don't promote bad habits in our swing while speed training. We want to make sure that our speed training translates to real distance gains on the course while also improving timing, which improves accuracy. The most effective way to do that is to speed train with your own equipment.